On today's show, we're diving into one of the most exciting advancements in character animation and storytelling, Meta's MoCha. It's an AI model that generates movie grading talking characters from just a text prompt and a voice clip. No rigging, no keyframes, just straight up cinematic animation powered by AI. I'm Daniel,
Matheus.
and this is the Human AI Experience.
So, Daniel, I have been searching for some Gen AI videos, tools, and stuff, and I found this new MoCha from Meta. So, MoCha comes from Movie Character Animator, and it's a full body character animation. So they use like text prompt and voice audio, so they lip sync and they create emotion and gestures in the AIs. And it's actually a research right now, so you can access. We're gonna put the links in the show notes so people can access and see what it is, and they can even see some videos that they are researching about it. And so they're not just talking heads, they are full scenes performances, so they actually mimic the real emotions and the real people talking. And they have even like multi-character interactions, so they have like this turn based, when I'm talking to someone and then another person is talking to me, let's say. So they replicate this natural movement, and they structure prompt templates, so one person says this, another person responds that, so they can understand these dialogues.
What do you mean by that? They can one person says this and the other person responds. Do they have like emotional responses, or do they understand the context and then they kind of like respond to that?
Yeah, I think you put, like, for example, the text for one character and the other character, and the tool understands which character is each, and then animates according to the emotion. And I think you can say like this person is crying, this person is laughing, this person is doing that. So they kind of replicates that, from the.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what they actually try to evaluate in this research is like five different um, benchmarks, let's say. So they're trying to lip sync, they try to replicate like facial expressions, body motion, and then they try to align with the text, so it'd be as accurate as possible. And the visual quality, they are, and if you see the videos, they're quite impressive. I think you saw it too, like we shared the videos. It's amazing, like how it is evolving. For now, it looked like a Mexican telenovela, like
Yeah,
true,
it's
true.
the mouth movements seem quite exaggerated. So I almost feel that they are like opening their mouths to kind of like formulate the words in a very. So it's really good for somebody lip syncing and no, sorry, reading the lips, right? So
Yeah,
because it's very over exaggerated, but it's crazy how fast these things are evolving in a way that they come with some level of emotion, right? The
yeah,
way they behave. I've seen some of the clips that they give as examples, uh, which is kind of scary, and I think Hollywood should be a bit scared about
definitely.
this because it's definitely gonna have an impact on new films being made at some
Yeah,
point.
definitely. And actually, talking about that, it is a script to screen workflow. So they are talking about impacting some industries. One of them is the filmmaking industry. The other one is animations, education, ads, virtual assistants, gaming. Because you can generate like cinematic content, on demand. So as you say, like if they are not aware of that, they should. because it's gonna be a game changing, I believe, in the industry.
Maybe for games, I think this is
Yeah,
something that today all these characters are kind of animated by hand, all their mouth movements and stuff. So
yeah,
if I maybe I see this more useful in the gaming industry to incorporate that into character expressions than necessarily on films, right? At least
yeah.
for now. Maybe animations could benefit from that.
I think the whole industry, and because you can generate like some real time storytelling and digital. So I feel that the whole industry is gonna change, and I was thinking about reflecting about how the movie industry would change, and I've been thinking, when they started doing a lot of 3D movies, like for example Pixar Rose, there was a lot of concerns about it's gonna change the industry forever, and maybe AI is gonna change another time, So probably we're gonna see movies in the theaters, like saying like AI generated a movie, the whole movie is generated by AI, so there's no human beings playing their characters. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a new kind of 3D animation and stuff like that. So probably you're gonna see one person doing a whole movie, a Hollywood movie with high quality.
Have you seen the Lion King, the one that that it was complete? They made basically they took Disney took the first film, the first animated film, and then made a live action version of that with realistic lions, and so all the animals were basically completely fully generated. Of course, they had the actors that were dubbing the animals doing this the sync and interpreting by themselves, and then they would just take parts of their facial expressions and put it into this animated characters afterwards. But in a
Yeah,
certain way this is kind of already there, but there's always like some acting behind. So
yeah,
maybe the next stage of this in regards to AI, maybe we're going to have a fully generated AI film, but there's going to be actors enacting in the back, but then AI is basically generating that interpretation and putting their faces, real faces, I don't know, or putting their interpretation in other characters. But because this is already happening in the AI scene, right? There are some tools that take your performance and whatever you do, and then they basically put you into a different character, which before was also done by motion capture. So you would
yeah,
have this crazy suit with a lot of dots, and
yeah,
then somebody would, there would be cameras everywhere, and then they would just basically scan your movements, and then they would put that skeleton into a 3D character that was modeled by somebody, or like a professional that does that, right? So
yeah.
it's also a huge industry of motion capture that is also being disrupted, right? Like,
Definitely,
because these
definitely.
tools started, you can basically upload your video of do something, doing something, and then all of a sudden you have a digital character that is was completely AI generated doing that, in following exactly what you're doing without any motion, very high tech motion capture devices. That's crazy.
So I think it's gonna be easier for anyone to build an AI character, So it's gonna be so it creates so much opportunities, like for people to, for example, have an avatar and use it on social media and use it in your company. So it's interesting to see how it's gonna shift, So you don't need to put your face on the camera anymore. If you think about it, you can just record from your bed, just lip syncing or stuff like that.
I
So
think.
it creates a different movement, I think.
Hey everyone, we noticed that a lot of people watching on YouTube are not subscribers. So it would help us a lot if you will click on the subscribe button down below. And for those who are listening to this episode, because we're also a podcast and we're everywhere, please leave us a review. It helps a lot to share our content and to multiply the audience. And we really, really appreciate it. It doesn't cost anything, it's free. Please leave us a review. Thank you. So there's a lot of discussion about all these AI tools disrupting a lot of industries, like the cinema industry, animation industry, the gaming industry. A lot of those industries being disrupted by these tools. But on the other hand, there's also some discussions in regards to these technologies. Are, of course, they are disrupting these industries, but they are also empowering people that before they had some stories to tell, but they didn't have the money to invest. They didn't have the
The connections.
the technical knowledge to actually pull it out something. Because let's rewind maybe 10 years ago, like, which is not that much. So you, if you want to do an animation by yourself, and you, let's say you have a story to tell, but if you wanted to do that animation yourself, you would have to learn how to animate, how to model, 3D model, if it's like 3D animated, right? You will have to understand cinematic, like how to place the camera, how to tell that story through the camera lenses. There's so many things that several professionals do it today, right?
Yeah.
Then there's people who started, recording things on their smartphones, and then there was a lot of these tools coming out, and then so all of a sudden you have the ability now maybe to tell your story without that heavy technical background. If, of course, maybe not going to be good, maybe you also have a learning curve to do how do you tell that story using these tools as well. But it's democratizing, the technology is actually coming to democratize the creative
Yeah.
process. So I've been seeing people discussing, and I do believe that human creativity will be enhanced by these things, and will also give people new opportunities to tell their stories, right? But in the end, the quality of these things maybe is not going to be on the execution anymore. It's not going to be, this is so cool that is the first Toy Story, is this first animated 3D animated film, right? Maybe it's not the
Yeah.
execution anymore that it will matter, but the story you want to tell. If it's a crappy story, it doesn't matter if it's like beautiful.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
see this as as empowerment, and I see this as democratizing the tools and the technology for more people to shine and to tell their stories, right?
I believe people are gonna be so we're gonna see solo creators, like people that do a whole movie, like 2 hours movie, like alone, because then you can mimic voice, you can mimic everything. So it's kind of a game changing in a way, as you said. Like, I think it's gonna revolutionize the industry in general. Like, and even for games, as you said, like maybe you can do something with a low budget, and you can create a game because all the animations you can do it by yourself. Because today, as you said, like they take the movements from people, so there's a lot of big team behind the game, so maybe this is gonna shortcut, and then you have less budget, you spend less in doing animations, doing character movement, and so it's interesting to see what's coming next. I'm curious to see, because I've been searching the last couple of days, like about movies and about the how AI is changing the films and stuff. And I've seen video clips all created by AI, like with real good movements. They created the music, and then they put the music together with the scenes, and the scenes are really high quality. Of course, most of them are just like jokes, so they put like Elon Musk, Trump, Zelensky, all this political Putin. They put every one of these characters, these big characters, and they motion it, and it's pretty much funny. So, and you can see the quality is getting better and better, because it's of course you know that it's not real because it's absurd things that they're doing, but it is getting there. It is getting in a level that I was expecting since we watched like Will Smith eating the pasta.
Yeah, that was a bit more than a year ago, and I've
Yeah,
seen the new version. Maybe we can also link that into the show notes. It's just funny to see the differences. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
it's basically these tools are improving really fast, and there are already people doing quite high quality AI videos that you can't quite tell, especially if you're animating a product or like a lot. There's a lot of these films, commercial films like or advertising that you show a product and then that product animates. Sometimes it's like
Yeah,
this chocolate milk, and then you have this wave of chocolate. That was all 3D model before, but you can
yeah,
actually replicate that with your product with AI today with really, really high quality. And you don't
yeah,
need all this, you know, the cost for doing that is lowering, right? Of course, you need somebody that knows what they're doing, how to prompt that,
yeah,
and prompting video do require you because those tools, Mid Journey, which is primarily images, and all these video tools, they require you to to add in your prompt uh, cinema language. So you need to tell what lenses you're using, what camera movements. If you don't know that, your prompt is not your result is not going to be that good. So it requires some knowledge. I'm not saying it's not some knowledge that you can actually easily find. You can also use ChatGPT to analyze a video for you and extract that information. Let's say I want to do this panoramic shot and the way you learn that is by analyzing a panoramic shot from a film or from a music video or something, and then you can extract that information and use in your prompt. So there's hacks, let's say, using AI to give you the right prompt, but a lot of the language, the cinema language that you need to know to prompt it well, all these video tools uh, comes from understanding the industry or knowing how to prompt to use the technical language to prompt. And so if you are a movie director that is qualified, that are used to work with this language, you're already in an advantage. So on how to prompt this, right? So it it goes both ways.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I have seen some tools. They actually, you just put the image and then they have like predefined like camera, cinematic cameras like Hello.ai. So you can actually like turn the camera around the person or do some cinematic moves, which for me it's a game changing too, because if you have a predefined, actually you can do it faster. So if you, of course, you cannot do something new in terms of cameras as many directors do, but you can do replicate some of the classical movements. So it is interesting.
Yeah, I think if you want to democratize this technology, you also need to take into consideration that okay, if I'm not a movie director, but I want to use these tools and I want to tell a story, how do I acquire that knowledge, right? How do I do that? And I've seen that as well. Some tools have these presets, and that helps a lot, especially if you don't know if you know what you're looking for, but you don't know how to express that in a prompt, and then it actually adds that into the prompt. So it's yeah. So that's really important. Understanding how can you simplify a technical language to actually lower the bar of adoption of these tools for enabling creativity for other people to try it out, right? And so
The
it's
things
really
that you,
fascinating. I'm quite excited with where
yeah.
we're heading. An AI tutor. Do you have a little bit more to add in regards to that tool, or should we wrap
Yeah, I
up?
think it's just that. So I think it's just the perspective, like I'm excited to see how it's gonna be. It's always like that. I'm always excited with these new tools because they're impressive. Now we are living in a revolution, so we are. It is quite exciting for me at least.
I think we're living in a huge transformation period, and I'm happy to be alive and to be able to witness this and be part of that transformation, right? Because whether or not we're talking about it, we're experimenting with these tools and hopefully uh, bringing to the audience some value by talking about this and giving the links and enticing people to actually go and try it out because
Yeah,
it's very transformational. And think about, we can talk about what, like, YouTube maybe is 15 years old or something. There wasn't a professional called YouTuber back then, and now
yeah,
it's basically replacing TV. In the US, people watch more YouTube on their TVs than actual TV. It's the biggest
yeah.
competitor to Netflix. So
I don't
it's
watch.
crazy.
I don't watch TV anymore.
Exactly. It
Yeah,
completely changed the media landscape. So what's going to be that level of transformation for AI in the next 5 years?
yeah.
I'm eager to see. I think a lot of things will dramatically change.
I'm already seeing like some channels that they use these AI videos. And there's one that caught my attention because they are doing a lot of money, and it's a Holy Bible channel that is only animated with these tools. They're like a 3D models, like, but like they talk about the Bible, of course, because it's a Holy Bible thing. But they're doing a really good job because they're animating these photos, with this 3D like Pixar style, but not Pixar, but this 3D animation style. And they animate it a little bit, and then they tell the story. So this is a really good business that they thought about it, like, and they're executing really well. And I think this tool that we're talking is gonna kind of have the same impact. If you know how to use it, if you know how to use this expression, you can create really good stories, you can create good channels, from YouTube channels. So I think it's gonna change the industry somehow. Not only this tool, but all the tools that we are seeing, like being created, and being spread.
Interesting times.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing it a MoCha for us to discuss, and let's continue exploring. And let's wrap up for today. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It's free and helps us a lot. This way, it can help us also reach new listeners. Oh, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to stay up to date on our latest episodes. If you have any questions for us, reach out to us at hello@humanaixp.com or connect with us on Instagram. Thanks for listening. See you next week.